The following podcast is an enticing media production. Thank you for listening to this podcast. You are now socially obligated to pour yourself a drink, and welcome to the Drunk Squirrel.
All right, we're live. I mean,
Okay.
not so much live, but we're recording.
Aw, did we get an awkward intro again, or are we
No.
just... No?
No,
you,
we just-
you actually gave us like a semi-professional, hey, we're live, this is the moment?
We have a guest. We have an esteemed guest. So
we do.
I didn't want to
which-
be. I didn't want to be our normal selves.
And this is someone connected to you, so this is definitely an introduction, and I got a lot of questions.
You have a lot of questions.
As you're like pulling over a notepad, why are you pulling over a notepad?
I jotted like notes down.
Who are you?
I'm sorry. I did.
What
I
happened?
don't know if I'm going to use any of them, but I jotted a few down.
Kenny, are you safe? Are you okay?
Blink twice if you're okay. Blink once if you need help.
No,
You took notes for this episode.
No, I just jotted a few things down so I wouldn't forget them. What's wrong with that? I don't want awkward silence because I have to edit that out too.
But it's an awkward moment of what happened.
No.
You jotted things down.
I
All
did.
right. What did you jot down?
I did. Well, I mean, just like a couple of things. This is what happens when I'm awake at 4 a.m. editing podcasts.
Yeah. How were you awake still? It's been
It is what it is.
what? Math hard. 15 hours and you're
Yeah.
still standing.
Yeah. Well, it's all right.
Oh man.
I have a busy weekend, and the episode comes out on Monday, and I wanted to make sure I didn't feel like rushing back here on Sunday and trying to like rush it through, so I decided to get it done.
Okay.
Just wake up early.
Okay.
So that's what happened. All right.
So we do have a guest
We do have a guest in studio,
in studio.
not Zoom.
Yeah. No, our last guest was in studio too. It's been a while since we had Pete on.
Yeah, it has been a little while
Yeah,
since
it
we had
was-
Pete on, so
March or February.
yeah, I think you're probably right.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyway,
Yes, we have a guest in studio.
so we have.
Would you like to introduce him?
I would love to introduce him. So our guest in studio is Jesus Rodriguez. He is the co-owner, right, of Legacies Wresting right here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And I have plenty of questions about how you ended up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and how you ended up being a line dancing fool with all of us. But we'll dig into that. But Jesus is also a former WWE superstar. And more importantly than all of those things, he's become a great friend, and we can just hang out and be ridiculous together. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here once again. Actually, first time on this one. I know
Yeah.
I've been. We've
You
done
were-
stuff together before.
You were on the radio show.
We were on the radio show. We were on your YouTube video on
Yep.
your log.
Oh, gee.
How's your neck coming along?
So it feels good now.
Tuck your chin.
I struggled with that. So yeah, my neck was sore in places that I didn't know it could be sore for days and days after that. It hurt to swallow. Which is great.
Giddy.
So I got to give you credit because I mean you didn't body slam him or you taught him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We definitely tried. No, but I'm excited to be here once again. And I mean, yeah, like you said, I am the owner of Legacies Wresting in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I used to be in the WWE for many years. I've had the privilege of traveling throughout the world, literally twice, and just teaching wrestling and wrestling all over the place. And I've settled down here in central Pennsylvania, and here we are. So let's get into it, man.
And you've lived in many, many different places. It's not just the traveling in the wrestling business, but you've actually called many places home.
Yeah.
L.A., I know Central PA.
Yeah, San Antonio, Tampa, Orlando. I lived in Mexico City. I lived in England. I lived in Spain. I got to live in Jalandhar, India. I got to live in places in Australia. I lived in Cairo, Egypt for a year. So I've had the privilege of having long-term stays and learning about a lot of different places and cultures through my travels. And aside from just the typical, constant going to a place, doing the job, and then coming back home or whatever, I got to spend a lot of time in actual some of these cities and places. So it's been fun, man. It really has.
So as far as living in these places, did wrestling take you to all these places to live?
Yeah,
so
it's all been through wrestling.
Every single one of them. Okay.
Every single one of them has been through wrestling. I've been in this industry for the last 18 years. Also, P.S. Let me go back. Before my mouth is a little swollen. I got popped in the face about a week ago, so my left molar is just swollen. So if I sound weird, that's what it is.
Well, you've been traveling every weekend lately to shows and different promotions, and so it's been pretty cool to see, honestly.
Yeah, we're here at this moment recording this, but I mean, obviously tomorrow I'll be heading out to Atlanta, and then I'll come back the next day. So, and then the week after we're all over the place. But it's been a good journey, and honestly, just to be able to do what I've been able to do all because of pro wrestling, that's a pretty cool thing to be able to say. That's a huge badge of honor that pro wrestling has taken me all over the world on multiple occasions. So
that's really
man,
cool.
It's pretty cool.
Really cool.
All right, I gotta ask because I never thought of this as a spot where wrestling would be a scene, but there's wrestling in the UK.
Yeah, well, yeah. England is huge. Wrestling has a huge scene in the UK.
Huh.
The main places that you want to go to wrestle would be Japan, England, here in the U.S., Mexico. Those are like the main spots throughout the world. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of smaller areas, regions, but the top three or the top four would be Mexico, Japan, the U.S., and England would be the top ones.
See, I could see Japan, Mexico, U.S., Spain.
Yeah.
I did not
England.
expect
Yeah, England has a
England.
huge major. Yeah, major. That's a lot where a lot of it came from. A lot of it came from England back. Well, the origins of pro wrestling comes from the circus. They would be circus acts, and it all stemmed from back in the UK, and then it just transferred over to the US, and it just became a thing. But all originally comes from England.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, so Kenny, I don't know if he's ever mentioned it. I'm entirely unaware of almost everything WWE.
Okay.
So I know mostly nothing.
Okay.
I picked
No
up
worries.
a few things recently and have been learning, but yeah. So forgive me for questions.
Oh, not a problem. Yeah, no. So I mean, obviously through the time my time in WWE, that's a whole global entity, and then they're international. So obviously, spending time with WWE for close to 5 years, I got to experience a lot, and I got to travel a lot. And like I said, if it wasn't for my time there, I wouldn't be where I'm at now, because that propelled my career to levels and extremes I never thought were possible. Especially for somebody like myself who just was some kid in LA that, came out of the barrio basically, and then, did something. So that's always gonna be a proud moment for me. And then to be able to pass on that knowledge now, so many years later, to the next generation that's gonna be coming up, and then possibly offer them a chance to live their dreams. That's something that I'm very proud of, that to this day, we're constantly creating new stars locally, and then eventually make them global stars.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's one of the coolest things that you're able to do right now, aside from the traveling and everything else that you do. It's working with the students who have a dream like you did, when you were growing up, or, to be a global star. These guys and girls all have an opportunity to do those things, and I think it's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
That you're sort of giving back in a way.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly,
cool.
like I'm older. Like I said, I've been doing this for 18 years.
I like how you say you're older.
I'm old. Well, I started when I was 20 professionally. I started when I was 20. I'm 38 now.
Oh God!
So for the last 18 years of just consistently, doing this sport for nonstop, because we don't have off seasons.
Yeah.
Our off seasons when we get hurt and we have to take a break. That's when we have an off season. And we don't want to take a break because obviously we're not gonna get work, so we're not gonna get paid, right?
Yeah.
So we have to consistently keep going. So we don't have off season. So 18 years catches up to you, relatively quick, and But so I understand that my time in the ring is slowing down. I get that. There are guys that are younger than me and faster than me and obviously more agile and healthier. So they're going to eventually take my spot, and I'm totally okay with it. But my job is to be able to provide something for them, whether knowledge or a platform, which is what we have now with Through Legacies Wrestling. We have a platform for them to learn and be able to showcase what they have, so then somebody can see them, and then based on our platform, hopefully propel them again to the next level. But no, I'm happy with what we have going on, and the students are learning, and then they're learning through my mistakes because I've made plenty.
We all have.
Yeah, I made plenty. So that's part of my giving back to them is my past experiences, the good and the bad, and there's plenty of both. And then hopefully they won't make the same mistakes, and they can take whatever I have given them as far as knowledge to help them make better choices along their careers.
Yeah. That's really cool. So you have with Three Legacies, you have an event coming up right here in Lebanon.
Oh yeah.
So when this episode airs, this episode is going to air on June 17th.
Yes.
So that is going to be 12 days before the event right here at the Lebanon Expo Center called Come Alive.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that. What can people expect? We want to promote it, make sure people come out. This is a family-friendly event. This is not complete violence, and you can't bring your children and things like that. So just talk a little bit about what it is like at a Three Legacies wrestling event that might draw people in.
So I take pride in the last year and a half that we've had Three Legacies Wrestling, we're very family oriented. We cater to people of all ages, and we want to make sure that everybody has a great time, regardless of how their age or the background, or whether they're a mom or a kid or a grandparent. Everybody comes in and has a great time. We do a lot of community events too, community work as well. So for this one, we're going to be on June 29th at the Lebanon Expo Center, Fairgrounds. We've partnered up with a lot of local facilities. Obviously, the local radio stations, Froggy and
Froggy Valley.
Yeah, oh yeah. So we're gonna have them on board too, and that's gonna be a lot of fun. We've also partnered up with the local Lebanon Christian Ministries Food Bank. So we're going to be holding a big drive with them. A couple months ago, we had something big with the Lancaster Lancaster County Food Hub, and we were able to raise. I think it was I forgot how much it was, but it was like 600 pounds worth of food for our event. So we were able to donate that. We were also able to raise. I think it was like $700 for them, roughly.
Yeah.
That we donated to the food hub. So we're able to do that here in Lebanon with the Lebanon Christian the ministries.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be holding a big food drive and food and clothes, and it's about giving back, right? So that's ultimately what we're doing. We're giving back to the community, and what I'm proud of that is because. And I know we're going to get into this a little bit later. When I was going through my situations, where a lot of these community groups were helping me, so it's my way of giving back to people that were there for me when I needed it. So I'm very happy that we're able to do that. We have a lot of amazing local talents that have been making their names throughout Central Pennsylvania, throughout all of Pennsylvania. Really, we're actually also too going to be. Having the NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion Joe Alonzo, who will be coming in, and he's going to be defending his title against Bro Keller, who's a local star. We're going to be having somebody who actually just created a world record. Her name is Danny Mo. She wrestled in Nepal, and she was over by Mount Everest. And she just was a couple days ago. She just, made a record of the highest elevated wrestling match.
I saw this. I saw this on Facebook.
Yeah. So they just made a world record by wrestling in Nepal by the Mount Everest.
Very cool.
So she'll be on the show against our local star of Zoe Cannon. So that should be a lot of fun. But like I said, ultimately it just comes down to being a whole family entertainment. That for a couple of hours you can just escape reality and just come to a wrestling show and just have a great time. To build memories, because that's something I'm very proud of too, that we're able to create memories between family members.
Yeah.
Something that I get told a lot, and I love this. I really do love this, is when a father and a son, or a grandpa and or family, whatever, family members coming together, and then they're building memories, and I love that, and you can see them. And then another thing too that I love, and I love seeing this, is when sometimes the parents come in a little hesitant, because to them, they used to watch wrestling when they were kids, but they kind of grew out of it. So they're iffy about it, and then they bring their kids, and the kids are into it. And I love seeing this little switch that happens in them when the show happens, and they're even louder than the kids, and I love that. And it happens more times than none.
That's a cool thing. Bo Keller, by the way, I like him.
Oh yeah. He's all energy, man. He's all energy.
He's has a ton of energy, and I just being at several of the events now. We just started coming to these events. We honestly,
November.
we honestly
December.
don't know you that long.
Yeah.
But we've become very good friends very quickly, which I'm very proud of, to be perfectly honest with you. But speaking of Zoe Cannon, the match that she had at the last event, right?
Oh yeah.
Nell and I were blown away by that. That was so much fun having the mixed match. Oh yeah. And she really showed out. She
challenged J.S. Hawthorne for the Through Legacies Wrestling Heavyweight Championship, and Zoe Cannon, she's shorter, smaller, obviously than J.S. Hawthorne, so they're very very huge size difference. But this is also the drama that gets brought into pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. I know because first of all, I edited the show, and then two, because obviously I was there, but then just to see the audience, how they reacted when she grabbed J.S. Hawthorne in a Boston Crab in a submission hold, and J.S. Hawthorne was about to tap out. Like, you could see everybody in the audience just stand up.
The crowd was hot.
Yeah, they were super hot and loud, because we were able to suspend belief that for like a split second she was able to beat him. Yeah. Right. And then, but that's the drama. That's what we're here to create. We're here to create a roller coaster of emotions. Whether you're mad, happy, upset, angry, cheerful, that's our goal, is to get a reaction out of you, and to be able to create that same emotion in front of you live on the spot. Not through different rehearsals, not through different cut scenes that you see on TV. We're doing this in front of you live, and we're able to create that reaction out of you. That's the whole purpose of this. We're an athletic theater per se, and that was a perfect example.
It was. I thought it was amazing. Nell and I were both hot for the match, to be honest with you. And I'm a wrestling fan. I just am. Nell's a budding wrestling fan. She's been a budding wrestling fan for a little while now. This has put her over the edge a bit. So, but yeah, it was really cool to see.
You take for instance WrestleMania, right? The night 2 of WrestleMania with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. That was just a whole roller coaster of emotions. Yep. And most of us already know. I mean, that it's an event, it's a show. We know that. Yes. But still, for the sake of just watching it and just being, at that point of like, oh my God, it's gonna happen. This is gonna happen. Oh no, it's not gonna happen. Oh, it's gonna happen, right? So that kind of a thing. It's the same thing when you watch a movie. Mm-hmm. You know that those turtles are not real. Those 6 foot turtles are not real. They don't really know karate. That car that just turned into a robot is not real. It's not gonna fly into outer space. It's not real. You know that. But for that emotional roller coaster of that, for that 2 hours, 3 hours, or whatever it is, you're so emotionally invested into it. Yeah. And also, I mean, obviously the athletic abilities that go into it. It's something. It's great, man. It's really great.
I saw I don't know if it's a TikTok or a reel recently where somebody was talking about like the common like misconceptions about pro wrestling. And the first one was, oh, it's fake, and he's like, you watch movies, right? How many of your movies, like, what do you see in a movie that's real? Yeah, right. Like, right. What? I don't understand, like, how this. It's fake. Okay, so it's every movie you watch. It's like it's not real.
No, and I mean, listen, man. Like, it's a perception, and I get it. But I mean, the injuries that I have are real. My life experiences are real. My house was real. My car was real. Mm-hmm. So, and it's all because of pro wrestling. Yeah, it's awesome. The emotions that you're having are real. And that's the best part about it.
I agree with that.
See, now I gotta admit, I've been that guy on the outside who's like, it's all fake, it's staged. Now there is an athleticism, and I see that. Yeah. But I've told Kenny in the past, I wrestled in high school. Right. It was Greco-Roman.
Yeah.
So
it's same. I did in high school too.
Yeah, but it always aggravated me because I'd go in the mornings and you wrestle, people's elbow. What the fuck are you talking about? We don't do that.
You didn't do that in high school?
Yeah, no.
But so this is where because I know like the name that they would give us as WWE guys would be WWE superstars. And then to me, it wasn't the wrestling that made us superstars. There was everything else behind that made us superstars. That constantly on the go. There was, again, we don't have off seasons.
Yeah.
We don't have off seasons. If you have a family, that's tough, man. I don't have kids that I know of. So I'm not married. I don't have kids. So like I didn't have that thought in my head when I was on my travels. But we were on the road, 90% of the year. We were home maybe 2 days a week. And I think the most especially when we first started WWE, like, cause we were on everything, was like a month and a half. I was on the road straight. I didn't go home. And then having to deal with sometimes the fans and, just having that plastic smile on day in, day out. And then you get home and then you think you have some time off, but you have to catch up on your normal life for the day and a half or so, catch up on sleep, if that, and then you're back on the road. You're on TV. You're at the arena, and then you're dealing with the live audience. And then no matter how tired or sick or whatever or hurt that you're having, you have to keep going. Living out of a suitcase for, like I said, 90% of the year becomes a thing. I travel a lot. I don't know much about the cities. I can tell you about the airports, the hotels, and the arenas. I can tell you about the rental car places. I can tell you that this airport has this rental car at that location. It doesn't have it at this one. This is an in airport parking lot. This is an off airport parking lot. But I don't know a lot about the cities. But that's what makes us superstars. It wasn't because the wrestling is easy as of now. But it was more so just the constantly on the go, the travel, and don't stop.
Well, I mean, what you were doing was hustling.
It was. That's all, and that's what it is too. Sure, and then and it's not for the mentally weak.
No, and you can see that on the guys who have come out.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're always pushing, they're always moving, they're always going.
Yeah.
And from what I've been here for about an hour, so we've known each other for about an hour.
Right.
But what Kenny has told me and what I've seen kind of on the fly on the wall, you're moving. You're always up to something, it seems like.
Oh, yeah.
And it seems like that's a huge piece of the culture, but also a huge piece of your personality.
Yeah, no, it's definitely that has a whole story in itself, too. But that was also just how I was raised up and how I was brought up as, the Latino culture. Just got to keep moving. Nobody's going to do stuff for you. So you got to keep moving.
So I got to ask. You said you grew up in L.A.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? What? I mean, if there's like
very
an
different.
antithesis.
It's very different. Yeah, it's very different.
L.A.
Yeah.
I miss it. I can't. And I was just having this chat earlier. Like I miss it. I miss home, and I miss the food. I miss the sounds. I miss the people. The variety of folks. Man, I miss that so much. The music. I miss the music. I miss the languages. I miss that so much. It's different. But also too at the time once I left LA, I went to Florida and lived in Florida for like 10 years roughly. And between that time frame, I spent time in England, I spent time in France, I spent time in India, Australia, Mexico. So that my time in Florida was divided in different countries. And then from there, I ended up moving to San Antonio. I lived in Texas for a little while. So I lived in Texas for a little while. And then from there, I ended up going down to Mexico City to work on a TV show. And when we were done filming the season, I ended up going up to LA just to visit my family. And then COVID hit. Oh. So then obviously we couldn't go anywhere. We weren't doing anything. So, and it didn't start here, but it really kicked off even more was I had an alcohol drinking problem. So I was drinking a lot, and then I went and I got a detox. I went to a detox center for a little while, and then kind of got cleaned up for a little bit. I got a call to go to Egypt, so I went to Egypt for a year, roughly about a year. And then on and off, I was in and out of Egypt because of the visas. So every 3 months, I had to like get out and then come back in. And then when my time was up, I came back to the U.S. And then, like I said, still nothing was really happening. Travel wasn't really fully back yet, so I was still kind of iffy. And then, my issues got even worse. And then one day, I woke up in a detox at a hospital in San Antonio. I put out a tweet because it wasn't the first time that I had woken up in that situation. I put out a tweet that I needed help, that I had messed up and I needed help. And then there was a gentleman that lived up here in Lancaster who's the owner of Blueprints Recovery for addiction recovery. His name is Chris Dreisbach. And then he's like, hey, man, if you're really serious about getting help, let's talk. Let's figure something out. So then I got a hold of Drew McIntyre, and then he gave me the info to the WWE Wellness Center program. I got in talks with the director of that, and then I got brought up here. I did my treatment at Blueprints. When I got out, I did a recovery house, and that was 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago now, and that's kind of how I ended up here. Started from scratch, rebuilt. My stubbornness does not let me quit, and then I'm determined that I'm humble enough to know that I can lose it all, but I'm confident enough that I can gain it back. So everything else, because I've done it once, I know I can do it again.
Yeah.
And that's where my stubbornness comes in, and my determination, the hunger of rebuilding what was once lost.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty powerful.
Well, we're glad to have you here in Central PA.
I'm happy to be here.
I don't know how long you're going to be here ultimately.
My lease on my school says another 3 years.
Okay, all right. So we got at least another 3 years with you. Gotcha.
Yeah. So in Kenny's mind, you have to stay here until he moves to Pensacola, and then you're going with him.
Deal. But I mean, it took me a while to get used to Pennsylvania. It took me a while to get used to the different lifestyle of just quiet.
Yeah.
It's from cities. I mean, and it wasn't just LA though. I mean, obviously like LA, San Antonio, Tampa, Orlando, Cairo, Mexico City, right? So these are cities. And then to come up here is obviously a lot different. It's a lot slower.
Well, yeah. I mean, even going over into Harrisburg, it's like, oh wow, this is a city.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, not really.
So yeah,
you got to go to Philly.
Right. So it's just it took adjustment. It took huge major adjustments. But it's one that I'm getting into, and I'm kind of liking now, as it is.
Well, look, the fact that I've heard about how you've gone line dancing with, I mean, the beach bum redneck.
Which that's
over
a whole
here.
other thing. Like I never expected that was even going to be a thing.
Yeah, that's been that's. I don't even know what to say.
The first night that we went, I remember just sitting there. We weren't even sitting yet. I was standing there. I was watching everybody else. I was like, man, I am way out of place.
Same.
But it was one of those where I was like, you know what? Screw it, man. Like I'm here. You know,
you are exactly where you need to be.
Here.
That's
yeah,
right.
I'm already here. You know, make the most of it.
Yeah.
Let's have fun. I mean, I'm not here to impress anybody. I was trying to, but that didn't work out.
Well.
but the whole thing was like, I'm not here to impress anybody. So, you know, like I'll make a fool out of myself. F it, you know?
You know, it's interesting because that line dancing group now that we quote unquote line dancing group is full of people that a year ago I didn't know.
Right.
Because Christina is the same. I mean, you know, our friendship with Christina has, you know, budded over the last several months, and you the same. And then Christina, some of the other girls, Tina, and some of the other girls that are in that group that go. I didn't know these people. Some of them even 6 months ago, I didn't know them, but I didn't know what I didn't know. Like, I didn't know that was going to be like fun, and I don't need to do the line dancing because I can't dance for shit.
Facts.
But I do enjoy like hanging out with all you guys.
Yeah, man.
And so, because that's what it's about, really. I mean,
and then so like also too because of that though, like I was on such a schedule of just go that I didn't give time to myself at all. And that was like one of the first times. I think the actual first time that I gave myself time was when we went to Jimmy Seafoods in Baltimore.
Oh,
That's back in February.
Yeah.
So that was the first time in a while that I gave time to me, because I was always just work, and I'm still stuck in that mentality. So finding that balance is so weird for me. But that was the first time, and then from there, I think I mentioned something about line dancing. I don't remember how it went.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly where that came.
But
to
I
be.
said something about like I think I said something about like I wanted to go like smash shit at a rage room.
Yes,
and then.
Because you even told me about that. We were talking about
rage. So I want to go like smash stuff.
Yeah.
Just because, and legally. So I wanted to go to rage room, and then somewhere along the lines I said something about line dancing. And then you're like, oh well, we have a friend who does line dancing. I think that's how I remember.
I think that's how it went, because we have this Facebook messenger group now. It's like, isn't it called like Smash Shit 10,000 or something like that? Whatever. I don't even know. That's like the Facebook group that we have going on that we text on. I smell fire.
Yeah, they're probably like smoking their cigars outside or something.
Okay.
Well, that smells like a wood fire, but
or I mean, if it's a fire, we all burn.
Okay,
yeah.
So
I've had a good life.
Yeah,
there are two rage rooms, one in York and one in Hanover.
I think the one in York is the one that we had. No, yeah, the one we had seen originally.
I think so, because I think we were Googling it while we were sitting there talking about it.
But I still have something on my to do list. I mean, I've done it before.
I haven't,
but I just want to go again. Just
there is something therapeutic towards
it is destroying things.
Oh shoot!
What?
Okay, if we ever get this day arranged, we keep talking about a day out shooting. And yeah. Sometimes we also bring old electronics along to shoot.
Oh,
that would be one to tag along.
You shoot like DVD players.
DVDs.
What was it? What was that movie where in that scene where like they're showing the printer?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. What is that?
Not Office Space. Either way, point is, I just want to destroy things.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So does this guy.
Well,
I know this guy likes to destroy things.
Yeah, it's fun.
So that's for sure.
The rage venting helps.
The rage vent.
It does.
Yeah.
So before we started recording, we were talking a little bit about aliens and things like that, right? I know you have, on the drive to and from Jimmy's, I think we learned a lot about each other. And you definitely you're into aliens. You're into some.
I'm into the paranormal stuff.
Yeah,
like,
you're into a lot of paranormal stuff.
Love that stuff.
And I have a curiosity about some of these things, especially paranormal.
The truth is out there.
Oh yeah. So like, it's not necessarily that I believe in the paranormal, but I'm super fascinated by it. I'm enthralled by the idea of the possibility that, all right, so we die, what happens to us afterwards? And I'm not religious per se. So I'm not completely discrediting it or saying that it's not a thing. I just, on a personal level, my thoughts are elsewhere. However, I appreciate all sorts of thinking and all sorts, because it has to stem from somewhere. And in my head, I want to know where it comes from and why it came from that position. What's its origins and where did it stem from?
So you're talking like origins of paranormal things.
Yeah. So
okay.
And I remember when I was a kid. This is, I think, where it started. When I was a kid, there used to be this guy who was, I'm assuming he was homeless. At this bus stop, on my way from school, but he was always constantly talking to himself. He was homeless, but he was always talking to himself. But he was always talking to somebody, something, right? But obviously, when I was younger, I didn't understand what it was because I was a kid. I didn't know what the medical diagnosis was. I didn't know any of that. So in my head, I was like, what is he seeing? He's seeing something. What? Right? So then, as I got older, then I started getting curious about that whole mentality of it and like, what is it? And like somebody had mentioned about like, what if he's tuned into something that we can't see? And I think we have talked about before how, for instance, there's radio waves going all over the place at the same time right now, but we need instruments to be able to see them. Mm-hmm. Right? What if there's certain people that are tuned to that frequency that can see things? And then I went down the whole rabbit hole in my teen years about stuff like that.
We had this exact conversation in the car driving home from Jimmy's, because I remember like you were saying like, I'm going to test the waters a little bit to make sure that you guys can handle my weirdness, which we definitely can. So,
but no, like the origins of where things start from is where I get so curious. The understanding of the whys and how of all sorts of thoughts of why, where did something come from? Not in the sense of its actual physical origin, but where did that idea come from? Because it has to come from something. That idea has to be inspired by something. Yeah. But what caused that? Because I know, for instance, there's been times where I've been just seeing something or just driving around, whatever, and I'll see something out there and I'll be like, oh, that's kind of cool. And it will spark something in my head that will just like start creating ideas. And I'll make up a story in my head of where that thing came from. Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
But I'm interested in the whole idea of like our spirits and our entities after we're gone and all that stuff.
I mean, it's a very interesting conversation to have.
No, and
because I don't know that anybody truly knows the answer.
So this is where I'll toss out what is my field, and sure. I'll try not to go.
No. I'm open, right? So like,
I think the best way to express that and phrase that from my position is it's my faith, my belief,
sure,
informs those things. So I don't look at the paranormal and go, oh no. Yeah.
Right.
I look at it and I go, there is a whole other spiritual world.
Right.
And the way I view it is it's very Harry Potter. Have you read the books?
No, I've seen them, but I haven't
seen
read
the
them.
movies?
Yeah.
Okay. The scene where Sirius Black dies, he falls through the curtain and just disappears. It's kind of like that, where there's this veil between what is us and the spiritual. And there are weak points. I do believe there are weak points between that veil where a little bit of heaven or a little bit of hell shines through, and that informs kind of what is our paranormal we encounter here.
Yeah.
That's the explanation I've always kind of lived within with that, but there's also a lot of other stuff. If you want, since we're slapping our weirds on the table, one of my favorite is cryptozoology.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And conspiracy theories.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm familiar with that.
Crypto, yeah, it's like like Bigfoot and Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
I've been in the deep woods at night.
The skinwalkers. Oh man, La Llorona. So then, right, La Llorona. So obviously, growing up Mexican, and so like in the Latino, well, especially Mexican culture, we don't necessarily fear death. We more so acknowledge it. We know it's there, so we know at a certain point we're gonna go. But right, so then when our spirit passes, we Dia de los Muertos,
Yeah, Dios de los Muertos, which is a beautiful tradition,
right? Yeah.
And a beautiful embrace of
death,
of that spiritual element. Yep. That is the transition of death. So sorry.
Yeah. So like we don't necessarily fear per se. I mean, we don't want to die.
Yeah.
But we accept it as that's part of life, and when it happens, it's a beautiful thing. Your spirit goes on.
Yeah.
And it goes on. But going into like La Llorona, right? So the story of La Llorona, she and there's many different versions of it. In a brief nutshell, basically, this homegirl, she was married to this dude, and then they had kids, and then she found out that he was with another girl, and then she got pissed off, and then she drowned her kids. In a nutshell, right? There's many different versions of it, but in a nutshell, that's what it was. Homegirl found out dude was cheating. She drowned her kids, and then she regretted it. So then her sentence basically is that her spirit has to go find her kids.
Oh wow!
So like she'll be crying, like Llorona will be crying. Anywhere near water, she'll be crying, "Ay, mis hijos, oh my kids." So that's like the legend of La Llorona. She's trying to find her kids.
Wow.
And then anybody that she finds, she'll basically kill them because she thinks that's who drowned them or whatever it was.
That's deep.
Yeah. Well, and it's not that legend up here, but there's that element of it that is, if you hear something laughing or crying in the woods, just don't do it.
Yeah, skinwalkers, man. Oh, I go down this rabbit hole on TikTok of stuff like that. Skinwalkers don't whistle back, don't respond. The closer they are, the farther, whatever it is. If they sound far, they're close, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys can bond over this.
Oh, dude, it's a whole thing, man.
Hey, I mean, we're showing weirds.
We're showing weirds.
But even like the whole element of like Bigfoot and Yeti, right? Like every culture has their version of it. So who's to say it wasn't a real thing?
Right.
Well,
So
I'm Scottish.
right. Okay.
So Nessie.
Right. Yeah. So Ness. Yeah. So and that's another thing I would love to go do is visit.
See Loch Ness.
Yeah. I would love to go see the. Yeah.
She's real. She's in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You sure?
Shut up.
But
You
it's
have little
same thing,
faith.
right? So same thing. For instance, like every culture has their version of dragons,
Yeah.
right? So who's to say it wasn't a real thing? Or if they, I don't know, maybe they just found dinosaur fossils and they said, "Hey, dragon."
Yeah.
Or here's a fun one. What if they found like pterodactyl fossils and they dug them up? They didn't know what it was, and they're like, "Hey, that looks like a person with wings, angels."
Okay.
Wow.
Sorry, this is
This is
silly
really-
and stupid. There's a podcast that my wife was talking about because she's a school counselor,
Right.
And she deals with elementary kids, and so she was connecting with one of her coworkers and said, "Oh, hey, there's this podcast. My niece or someone is doing it, and they have people like Liam Neeson and Robert De Niro and Emily Blunt who are coming in and doing intros for this thing. It's called The Silver Linings, or
Okay.
In Search of the Silver Linings. It's a kid podcast, and I've been listening to it because all right, I support my wife. I support those that she's connected to, and they were just talking about this week." Randomly, well, what if dragons were actually what we think are dinosaurs?
I thought that's where you were going.
Yeah. That's what I mean, though.
And I'm laughing because it's wow, okay, that's the second time this week that's kind of
That's life telling you, man. The universe is give you the answer. But I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, like, so where do a lot of these ideas and stories come from? Right, it has to stem from something. So I'm like we would see something of. See the bearded lady, or see the world's tallest man. He's only like 6'8",
Yeah.
right? But see the world's tallest man, right? So they become fables, they become stories,
Yeah.
and then they pass it on because obviously back then they didn't have like cell phones or cameras or any video cameras, so it just goes by stories. And we've all played the game of telephone. It's called gossip, right? We do this all the time. Hey, did you hear that? I don't know, that girl has like her nails are like 20 feet long. They're not 20 feet long. They're just whatever. I don't know. That's a bad example. But what I'm saying is that we tend to exaggerate things. So what if they saw something and then they just told the story, and then throughout time it just got exaggerated because that's the game of telephone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I agree with you. But these things, like, there's an origin for everything, right? It's so the first person had to either see it or say it or make it up or whatever you want to say.
Or how they described it. The fish that I caught was this big.
Wait, you mean the one that was sucking on Kenny's toe
Yes,
earlier?
the one that was sucking on Kenny's toe.
Oh God,
The koi fish.
Yep.
the koi fish.
There you go. Now we brought it in. It's actually interesting that this is an area that is huge for you in engagement in how. I mean, there's cross connection in how we tell stories, cultures,
Right?
but also the stories that then you are crafting and creating and drawing people alongside and into in your work over the past
Storytelling.
Yeah, it is
storytelling.
huge.
Yeah, it's storytelling.
Yeah,
What we do is storytelling, and obviously in pro wrestling, we have to tell stories because we have to engage you somehow.
Yeah. I don't call it storytelling in what I do, but I mean that is a huge element of it. Of okay, well, how do we gather our faith? Faith stories. I do use that. So, but how do we gather our faith stories? What is our individual journeys? How do they fit into the bigger picture? And that's Sorry, that's one of those neat moments that I'm appreciating.
But it's a matter of engagement, and how do I make what I'm doing? Because I can just say I go and I wrestle, and just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Right. It's just so dull.
All right. So in preparation for this, I did go back and I've watched some of the old clips from when you were with WE. No, actually, it was pretty neat. Again, I'm learning. I mean, I've got like 2 words I know out of the whole thing.
Okay.
But
What are those 2 words?
face and heel.
Okay. That's a plus.
So you know the base. You know the basics.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know there are faces and I know there are heels. Well, okay. What were you when
We
you
were the heels. We were the villains.
Okay.
We were the antagonists in the stories. for the most part. But I was also more of the comedic relief of the antagonist, who was more of the serious guy.
I actually really appreciated that about how you interacted.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that actually helps.
Yeah.
Because you started with Andrew
Alberto Del Rio.
Alberto.
Yeah, Alberto.
Okay. You started with him, and he seems like an asshole.
Oh yeah. That was his thing, and then he was like the main antagonist. We feuded with John Cena. You know, we did stuff with Bret Hart. We did stuff.
You got punched in the face by John Cena, didn't you?
I got punched in the face by John Cena, Big Show, Randy Orton, all those guys. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You deserve a standing ovation for that. Just saying. But
yeah.
So you guys were the heels, but you provided a bit of the comic relief
right.
to help break that in the storytelling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, but I was loyal to him, right? That was the whole thing, regardless of how much I got beat up. Yeah. How badly he treated me, or how he would toss me under the bus, aggressively place me, as you said, under the bus. I was still loyal because he was my boss, on TV.
Yeah.
But it was a fun time though. But again, so what I'm saying is, I could just go and I was like, I was on camera and I was just like a ring announcer, and just leave it at that. It's right.
You had a whole persona you embodied in that.
Right. Yeah.
You can see that in how you're interacting.
Right.
And that's impressive.
So, and then also too, for the fact that I didn't, when he was on camera, I didn't talk. The only time I talked was to introduce him. After that, I didn't talk, so I was just in the background, just making my facial expressions and then reacting to whatever was happening. But that's where, again, we have to tell stories and we have to engage people. Otherwise, they're not going to keep us around.
Well, and it's not just that they aren't going to keep you around, but it's what are you doing and creating in this world? Mm-hmm. I mean, story crafting, whether it's our lives or just our work, is a huge piece of what we do.
Right, absolutely. And then also too is building a legacy, which became my whole motto with everything that we're doing. And because it's not necessarily an ego thing, but there's a lot of things that are ego driven. Because this isn't to fuel my ego, but it's also for the sake of what do I want to be remembered by. When I die, because when I die, the only thing that's gonna be left is my memory. That's how people are gonna remember me. I die, go into a hole, and then physically, that's it, right? But the thing that will live forever for me is what emotion, what memory I leave behind on people. So what I'm trying to build now is to build something where they can remember me as, hey, he helped me with this, and I was able to achieve X, Y, Z through him and through the help that I was able to provide from the platform that I was able to create. I was able to get to where I wanted to. Or even if it's something simple like, hey, when I was down and I needed help, he helped me. He gave me $20 to get food when I didn't have it. So little things like that. Because like I said, at the end of the day, when I die, I'm done, and my memory will live.
I'm going to butcher it, but there's a saying that, there's a second death. Mm-hmm. And that death is when the last person who you impacted and remembers you dies.
Right, and then that's we go into, for instance, like Dia de los Muertos, right, and then the remembrance of our ancestors. Now, granted, it's a little different, obviously very different, but just that concept. But yeah, that's yeah.
All right, so your wrestling studio,
it's at school. It's a wrestling academy school. Yeah,
it's called Three Legacies.
Yeah.
Are there three legacies?
So sort of. There's a whole thing to it. The number 3 has always been a thing for me. Why? Okay. I don't know, but it's always been a thing. It's been one of those recurring things that throughout my life has just constantly popped up randomly here and there. So I'll start off with the because I grew up Catholic, so the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, right? Yeah. So that kind of a idea, and also too the concept of the past, present, and future. The idea also that in wrestling there's the 3 main spots, and that's Asia, so Japan, Mexico, and the U.S. So that's North America, and then England, Europe. So the 3, right? My independent wrestling name before I was in WWE was Chimera. Chimera is a Greek monster, and it's made up of 3 animals. So it's a lion, a serpent, and a goat. So that's 3. So just the whole concept of 3 kept popping up throughout things, and as I got older, and also it's a Alcoholics Anonymous thing, so it's all kind of meshed into that concept. And there's also there's 3 of us in the office of 3 Legacies Wrestling, so
I guess you'll have to go to 4 if you ever hire a 4th.
yeah,
No, that's pretty cool.
4 legacies.
yeah, 4 Legacies.
But you do a lot of the like. We're watching you. First off, we're watching 3 Legacies Wrestling YouTube channel right now. So we're watching.
We should have probably started with that.
Yeah, I guess
That's been going on in the background.
Yeah, we didn't actually say that, but I mean, you're very hands on.
Oh yeah,
You do like a lot or all of the post production editing for your YouTube videos and things like that. So
the thing that I've had to learn, and another one of my main mantras that I've come up with throughout this whole year and a half or so, has been learning through necessity. There's a lot of stuff that I've had to learn because I needed to. The video editing, Premiere, I didn't know how to use Premiere. I had to learn it. Photoshop, I had not used Photoshop in like 14 years. And it's very different than when I was like CS1. So I had to relearn all of that. I had to learn, the photography side. I have to learn the back end booking of it, like as far as like the finances. I had to learn how to budget. And that's a whole animal in itself, how to budget. So, because it would be nice to make a profit, right? Yeah. So I have to learn how to budget.
It would be.
I had to know how to budget. Obviously, everything that we do is by the book, so I have to make sure everything is organized and there. So if in case we ever get to that point, right? Because we have been growing and we've been growing very fast.
Yeah.
Originally, when we started this whole thing, we had a 5-year plan, and we got to that 5-year plan mark in under a year.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
Wow. So just as much as we have been growing and expanding that quick, I have to keep up, and it's a lot. It is a lot, and then also running the school, having the real-time job, and then right now I have about let's say 19 students. They're adults. I say kids, they're adults, but I have let's say 20 students. And I'm not only the coach from Monday through Thursday from 7 to 10, but I'm involved with them because they have issues in personal lives. So, trying to talk to them when they're having issues, and that's a 24-hour thing. So I have 20 kids basically that whenever they have issues, they'll send me a message, and then I'll chat with them and try to figure something out for them and whatever.
That's a cool thing.
So there's that. Like I said, the video editing, the post production, the running the show, having to realizing how to network, and then all that aspect of sponsors. And I'm very grateful for the team that I have. If it wasn't for Bobby and Ronnie, man, I would have lost my mind a long time ago. But it's learning through necessity that I've had to learn a lot of this. It's full time.
You're doing a heck of a job, though.
We're trying to. We're trying to get to a point where hopefully it'll run itself at one point.
I mean, just in the time of when we went to our first show versus just last month going to that show, the difference just in that short period of time is astounding. Honestly, that's a 6-month stretch of time.
Yeah, I mean, we went from our very first show. We had about 150 people over at Brightside Opportunity Center in Lancaster. And then our second one was about the same. And then from there in January, we jumped to 500 people that jumped up. And that became a thing for almost a year. Within our first year, we ended up doing a show at the Clipper Magazine baseball stadium, and we drew about 2,500. And that's our first go at it. So now we're going to go into our second year of having that second baseball stadium show. That's on August 3rd in downtown Lancaster. And our goal, we're going with momentum. With momentum. So, the plan is to get as close to filling it up as possible. We just did a show at the Lancaster Convention Center, and we drew about 700 people at that one. Yeah. Those were paid. So how many people extra were there? I don't know, maybe an extra 100 that were there. Friends and family and, talent, whatever. But again, we're going into this with steam. So like I said, the 5-year plan that we had, man, that we got to that thing quick. And it was just it was overwhelming when I realized how fast it happened. And I'm like, we got to catch up. I got to catch up. So then, like I said, having the team that I do have and people that have the same goal and mission is super important. And realizing what my circle is, realizing patience. That was another thing I had to learn is patience.
Patience is a tough one. Patience is a tough one.
And it's a weird one because you have to be patient but hungry at the same time.
Yeah.
So finding that weird awkward balance of like, all right, my time will come, but also I got to be ready.
Yeah.
So when that opportunity does present itself, I'm ready to go and I'm going to knock this thing down and I'm going to make it happen. So you have to be hungry, but you also have to be patient, and that's a weird, awkward balance. Because then, if you get too ahead of yourself, you're gonna tilt the scale in the wrong way, and it won't work out.
Wow, what a conversation this was!
I was gonna say, how far?
Yeah,
in
I think we're
are
gonna wrap this thing up now. We're about 55 minutes in, and
all right.
So.
Before we wrap, where can you be found?
I can be found actually. For me, don't even look for me. Look for Three Legacies Wrestling on Facebook. Look for Three Legacies Wrestling on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, and then from there you can find out where I'm at because I tag everything along with it. I am thankful that currently I work for Major League Wrestling as an on-air talent and producer, which that's where I'm heading out tomorrow morning to Atlanta. For Battle Right. I know this will come out a little later afterwards, but you can always check out Major League Wrestling on YouTube as well. But for the most part, yeah, man, just keep supporting. Check us out. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the like, share, all that good stuff. We also do have a member section for 99 cents, and that helps us obviously grow even bigger.
Yeah.
So,
and of course, during all of the post-production stuff that we do and all the Facebook promotion that we'll do for this episode, we'll link, all the Three Legacy stuff that we can, and on, Facebook, Instagram, all the things that we do, and show notes and things like that. We'll let people know how they can get a hold of you, and they absolutely should check out a Three Legacies event, either in Lebanon coming up, when this episode airs in less than 2 weeks.
Days.
Yeah.
You got 12 days.
But all over Lancaster. So
yeah, I was checking tickets for that. That's pretty reasonable too. So
it's a reasonable night out, and
and like I said, family friendly. We start at 7. We're done by 9:30. So
it's going to be the first wrestling match that I will attend.
Oh, that'll be great. You're having a blast.
Really, it's going to be the first thing I've watched intentionally outside of it in the background.
Yeah, you're gonna enjoy it, man. It's a whole experience.
I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
I'm glad. It will be the second wrestling show that I've seen at the Expo Center.
Very nice.
Way back in the day, I saw ECW there.
Oh wow, okay.
When ECW was small, before they started to grow, they did an event at the Expo Center.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we were at that. My buddy worked for a radio station at the time, and he calls me up like on a Friday, and he's like, "Hey," "I got these tickets to this ECW show. It's right there in Lebanon." He's like, "Do you want them?" Yeah. And so, but I didn't know much about ECW at the time. I was a WWE guy. And sure. So I drove to E-Town to get the tickets, and then we went to the show. It was a badass show, man. It was so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun.
And I mean, and obviously, if the local folks here in the Lebanon area, they're going to be hearing about it on Froggy and also on Wilbur Radio, so on FM. So that'll be a blast. But yeah, check it out.
And you brought some promotional materials for us. So,
absolutely.
We'll be spreading them around town a bit, so we'll do our best.
I've got one. Give me one or two more.
There's a whole stack out there.
There's a whole stack. That at the church.
Yeah, there's a whole stack out
with
there.
With LCCM connected, I can promote that at the church.
Yeah. So it'll be fun.
Yep.
So awesome. Well, Jesus, thank you for coming, hanging out with us tonight. I hope you'll hang out for a little while after we're done recording. We can shoot the breeze. I know you have an early flight, but
I'm not worried about
it. We can all hang out, shoot the breeze a little bit, and
you're another one of those evil morning people.
Oh yeah. I'm usually up by 5.
I need new friends.
I'm gonna start texting you in the morning. I don't have anybody to talk to when I'm awake
I'm
at
up
5
at 5:30.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Cool.
Screw it.
I found my guy. I found my early morning text guy. Just be glad I didn't text you this morning when I was editing the podcast.
So when you did text me, I was dealing with Cranky Teenager.
Oh God!
Now it was great to have the show to listen to and not deal with Cranky Teenager.
I'm good. But good news is it's all ready to go.
Yeah. So
All right, we're going to wrap this up. Jesus, again, thank you for hanging out. Make sure you check out Three Legacies Wrestling on all the social medias and check out what they're doing because they're doing some really cool things. And make sure if you're in the Lebanon area or close, June 29th, come alive at the Lebanon Expo Center. Come on out, bring the kids, and have a good time. So
it'll be pretty cool.
It will. All right. So we will. Thanks for listening to the Drunk Squirrel podcast, and we will see you again in 2 weeks. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to The Drunk Squirrel. No need to pay a tab. Just be sure to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and drop us a line, thedrunksquirrel82@gmail.com. Cheers.